How about that? Well, it's time now, one last time, to go over to our chief meteorologist, Dan Cianca, for that full weather forecast.
Yeah, why is that? Do you know something I don't know?
Maybe not. If you pulled that and been like, I'm not leaving, that would that'd be mind-blowing.
No, I know, but it's true.
I'm gonna cry still.
Yeah, this is my last weather forecast, and we'll have time to cut the onions later, from what I understand. So let's just focus on the business, the meat and potatoes of the business, and then we'll get to the onions. Ooh, that was an unintentional segue, okay? Things I hope you learned in the last 11 and a half years of my weather casts here on KION. It has been an absolute honor to be with you. Well, we're not going to get into that just yet, Dan. Jeez Louise, get ahead of yourself. Okay, let's talk about fog, mist, and drizzle. Get excited tonight. We talk about fog all the time. A misconception, I think, people about fog, I hear people say, oh, the fog is way up there today. When you're pointing up at what you think is fog, it's really a cloud, okay? So fog is really a cloud. It just happens to be a cloud on the ground. Fog really actually is more a description of visibility. Very, very low visibility. We're talking less than a mile, for example. Now, on top of that, mist is also a descriptor of visibility in the weather world anyway. So a lot of people say it's misting outside. When you say that, actually, you're probably being drizzled on. Mist is actually kind of a light fog, or I like to think of it as when you look out there and the marine layer is present, but maybe the clouds really aren't there, so it can just kind of looks really, really hazy. And you can't see very far, but it's not like you're in a full cloud or anything. That's really what mist is in a meteorological perspective. And drizzle, of course, is the stuff that spritzes at you, right? So you go out, you feel the little droplets hit your face, the roads start to get wet, your windshield, you start seeing those tiny little droplets. So drizzle are tiny droplets, much smaller than a raindrop, and that is basically what differentiates drizzle from rain. Raindrops are much larger, drizzle are smaller drops, and you're gonna get drizzle out of the low clouds. Typically you don't get much rain out of low clouds. Sometimes you start to blur the lines. If you get some really good lift, those low clouds may eventually start turning into rain. They start getting into bigger droplets. So hopefully you learned some of those things over the last 11 and a half years. I really hope you did. Let's take a live look from our Mount Toro cam. So we look down on our 2,000-foot deep marine layer tonight. The Salinas City lights right here, the Santa Cruz Mountains, the Bay Area light glow behind the mountains there, the slopes of Mount Toro in the foreground. It is our typical summer fare out there as those low clouds stick around. Low pressure aloft, going to be moving on. Don't expect any thunder from it locally. We may have a few more showers and thunderstorms over the hills in Northern California and the Sierra tomorrow. That's going to move on. Trough is going to be passing by as we head into the latter portion of the week, and that will start to stir up the winds a little bit. Really the most exciting thing in the forecast over the next 7 days will be the increase in the winds. The winds really died down over the last several days, and what that did is allow our sea surface temperatures to head back up. We were cold. The water was very cold. Just a couple of days ago, like 52. I think it actually one day got down to 51 degrees, which is almost colder than it got all winter long, believe it or not. So just that wind blowing over the water causes upwelling. It brings some of that colder water to the surface, and once that happens, you get much cooler sea surface temperatures. But once the winds die down, things kind of stabilize again, and the water temps start coming up. We're back to 56.5 degrees today, so quite a bit warmer than that, which is actually pretty close to where we should be this time of year as far as sea surfaces are concerned. Temperature-wise in the air, on the coast, we're going to have low clouds every day really for the next week. We'll have some afternoon clearing, but mornings and late evenings, low clouds on the coast, and you'll see seasonable to slightly cool temperatures in inland areas for the next week or so. Seasonable to slightly warm temperatures, pretty normal for us this time of year. Let's get to that shorter term forecast. We'll start off with our overnight, and as we take a look at our cloud tracker moving into the valleys, you can wake up to some fog in Hollister, Salinas Valley tomorrow morning. Low clouds around the bay, up into maybe Carmel Valley as well, maybe even sneaking into the San Lorenzo Valley. Patchy fog, patchy drizzle. Watch out for that. It could sneak up on you. You might think it's mist, but it's drizzle. And as we look at our forecast tomorrow afternoon, it looks like some of those low clouds are going to struggle to clear from the coast tomorrow. We'll probably clear out in Santa Cruz, but places like Marina, Carmel, you may be stuck in the clouds all day. And you'll be kind of on the edge of it in Monterey and Salinas and Prunedale tomorrow afternoon, maybe even Watsonville, kind of on the edge of those clouds throughout the day. And temperatures on the coast, a little on the cooler side. below normal, 60s to around 70 for most coastal cities. Up in the mountains, we start to get warm, 85 in Boulder Creek, for example, tomorrow afternoon. So there is some heat, but nothing extraordinary for this time of year. On the east shore of the bay, mostly low to mid 60s, 70s Hollister, 85 in Morgan Hill, Monterey Peninsula, highs in the 60s tomorrow, typical July. Down south, 90s in our far southern valleys. I was just pointing out, this time last year we were headed down to go watch some fireworks at Fort Hunter Liggett. That was a fun show if you get a chance to ever do that. Love it out there on the airstrip, pretty quiet, but not when those boomers are going off. Pretty fun stuff. So 90s tomorrow, 70s in the Salinas Valley, maybe 80s in King City. 7-day forecast, coastal cities. Pretty seasonable weather for the next several days, maybe bumping up a little bit for the weekend, but ultimately about where it should be. We see the winds pick up Saturday, Sunday as well. Inlet areas also a little on the warmer side for this time of year. We'll have wind in the valleys every day, of course, but pretty much mostly sunny skies, some fog in the valleys in the mornings, not much in the way of high clouds as we're in a pretty quiet pattern, minus that trough passing by late in the week. Max?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dan.